Hello guys, on Voice of Betrayal, where every lie has a voice. My name is Mike, I'm 43 years old. I was married to Lisa for 20 years of memories, laughter, fights, tears, and everything in between. We met in high school. I was a junior, she was a senior. I was your typical awkward guy, and she was that girl who everyone admired but somehow still looked at me with that warm smile. Our story started simply. We met in the hallways, in classrooms, during lunch breaks. At first, we were just friends, but somewhere along the way, something changed. We started spending more time together. I remember the day she asked me to homecoming dance. I was stunned, nervous beyond words, but I said yes immediately. We dated through the last year of high school. Then, she went off to college out of state, while I stayed back to finish my senior year and start community college nearby. Those 2 years were brutal, the long distance, the phone calls that lasted for hours, the waiting for weekends to see each other. I thought that would build trust. I thought our love was strong enough to withstand the distance. But I was wrong. I always sensed something was off, but I pushed the doubts away. You want to believe in the person you love. You want to think they wouldn't hurt you. I clung to the idea of us being unbreakable. Then came that Christmas dinner. Lisa invited a few of her old college roommates, Claire, Melissa, and a couple others I had met briefly before. The place was cozy, full of laughter and the clinking of glasses. We talked about everything, work, kids, the usual. Then Claire said something that hit me like a punch. "It's crazy you two met in high school and still ended up together after those wild college years," she said, smiling but with a hint of mischief. Lisa quickly cut her off. "Claire, that's enough." I laughed it off and said, "Actually, we've been together since high school." The room went quiet. Lisa looked away. On the way out, Melissa pulled me aside. "You need to have a real talk with Lisa about college," she said quietly. I went home that night feeling uneasy, but I thought maybe it was just harmless old stories. The next day, I asked Lisa what was going on. She brushed it off. "Nothing. Don't worry about it." But I couldn't stop worrying. I stayed at my brother's that night to clear my head. The next afternoon, Lisa showed up. She looked tired, resigned. "I have to tell you something," she said. I braced myself. She confessed she had slept with multiple men during her first 2 years of college. Not just 1 or 2. At least 10. She said she didn't think it was a big deal. That we were long distance. That she didn't think a high school relationship would last. I felt like the ground beneath me was crumbling. The guys she slept with included some I'd met as friends. One of them she was still in contact with, even after all these years. I told her I wanted a divorce. She acted shocked. "You're overreacting. It was a long time ago." But for me, it was betrayal, years of lies and disrespect. We have 2 kids, now 17 and 19. They deserve to know the truth one day, but for now, I'm protecting them from the pain. Her family says I'm throwing away a good marriage over the past. My family supports me. I feel like I'm going crazy sometimes, surrounded by people telling me to forgive and forget. But I can't. Because trust, once broken, is almost impossible to rebuild. Flashback, the early days. I want to take you back to those first days, before everything broke. I was nervous asking Lisa out. We were just kids. But she laughed at my awkward jokes, and we talked for hours after school. The way she looked at me, like I was the only person in the world. She was my whole world. Our first date was a movie and burgers. I remember holding her hand for the first time, feeling electricity shoot through my body. We promised to be exclusive, even if we never said the words out loud. When she left for college, we talked for hours each night. I told her I trusted her. She told me she loved me. But I guess love wasn't enough. The discovery. Back to the present, after that confession, the house felt like a tomb. We didn't know how to talk. I felt hollow, like I had been living a lie. I couldn't sleep. Couldn't eat. I stared at my phone, wondering if I should call the guy she mentioned. Wondering what else I didn't know. Her excuse was that we were long distance. But I never cheated. I was faithful, waiting for her. The confrontation. One night, I couldn't hold it in anymore. I sat her down. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked, voice breaking. She shrugged. "I didn't think it mattered. But it does. It matters to me. You're overreacting." "I'm not. It's not about the sex. It's about the lies." Her eyes filled with tears. "I'm sorry," she whispered. But sorry felt like poison in my veins. Aftermath. The divorce papers were signed. Friends took sides. I lost some, gained others. Lisa tried to blame me. I stayed silent. Our kids were confused but supportive. I told them I loved them, no matter what. Moving forward. Now, I'm learning to live again. It hurts, but I'm healing. I'm grateful for the truth, painful as it was. Because now, I know where I stand. And maybe someday, I'll trust again. This is my story. Not just about betrayal. But about finding strength when everything falls apart. The morning after Lisa's confession felt like waking up in a nightmare that wouldn't end. I sat at the kitchen table, my hands wrapped around a cold cup of coffee, staring blankly at the wall. The silence was suffocating. Lisa walked in, her eyes red and puffy, guilt written all over her face. "I didn't mean to hurt you," she said softly. I looked up at her, trying to find the woman I knew behind those eyes. "Then why did you keep it from me? Why did you lie for all these years?" She sighed, sinking into a chair opposite me. "I was scared. I thought you wouldn't want to be with me anymore. I thought if I told you, it would ruin everything." "Well, you were right about that," I said, voice low but steady. "It did ruin everything." We sat there, the distance between us growing wider by the second. The confrontation with her friends. A few days later, I met Melissa, one of her college roommates, at a coffee shop, hoping for some clarity. I needed to understand how deep this went. Melissa looked nervous, sipping her latte as she spoke. Lisa, she was going through a lot back then. The pressure of college, being away from home, the freedom. She made mistakes. I nodded, trying to stay calm. "Mistakes? 10 men. That's not a mistake, that's a pattern." She winced. "I know it sounds bad. But you have to understand, it was long distance. It's kind of normal." Normal. You think it's normal to cheat for 2 years, lie to your partner, and then act like it's no big deal. Melissa looked down. "I guess I'm just saying, sometimes people don't know what they want." "Lisa didn't mean to hurt you." "I'm the one who's hurt," I said. "And I don't think it's okay to sweep it under the rug." The phone call that shattered me. That night, I got a call from one of the guys Lisa was still in contact with, Tom. He hesitated when I asked if he knew about us dating at the time. No. Lisa never said anything. "Did you ever suspect?" He paused. "Honestly, no. We were just friends." I clenched my fists. "Friends?" He sighed. "Look, I don't want to make this harder for you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, too. For everything." The turning point. Weeks passed. Lisa and I drifted further apart, the walls we built growing taller. Our kids noticed. One evening, my daughter Emma came to me, eyes wide with worry. "Dad, are you and Mom getting a divorce?" I swallowed hard. "I don't know yet, sweetheart." She hugged me tightly. "I just want us to be happy." I promised her I would try. The day I decided. It was late January when I made up my mind. I sat at the kitchen table, the divorce papers in front of me. Lisa came in, trying to talk, but I was done listening. "I'm filing," I said quietly. Her face fell. "Mike, please. We can work this out." "No, Lisa. I loved you. But I can't live with lies." She cried. "You're throwing away 20 years. I shook my head. "I'm saving myself." The aftermath. The divorce was messy. Friends took sides. Family got involved. But through it all, I held on to one thing, my own dignity. Lisa kept insisting I was overreacting. I stayed firm. Because some things, like trust, once broken, can't be fixed. The weeks after I filed for divorce were the hardest of my life. Every room in the house felt empty, but it was the silence that broke me the most. Lisa and I barely spoke except for the necessary conversations about the kids. Even then, the words were clipped and cold. One evening, I came home late from work. I opened the front door and heard voices in the living room, Lisa's voice, and someone else's. My heart sank. I wasn't ready to face whatever was coming next, but I had no choice. I walked in quietly. There was a man sitting on the couch, laughing. Lisa looked up, startled. "Mike, I didn't expect you so early," she said, forcing a smile. The guy stood up quickly. Hey Mike. Who is this?" I asked, my voice low but firm. Lisa hesitated. "He's a friend. A friend who was way too comfortable in my home." I felt anger and betrayal flood through me, the wounds from the past tearing open. "I don't want friends like this in my house," I said, stepping forward. Lisa's face hardened. "You're overreacting again." I couldn't take it. "No, Lisa. I'm done being the fool." The man, sensing the tension, muttered something and left. Lisa shut the door quietly behind him. We stood there, two strangers under the same roof. The conversation with the kids. The next morning, I sat down with Emma and my son Jake. They were older now, more perceptive than I gave them credit for. "Kids," I began gently, "I want to be honest with you both. Your mom and I, we're going through some things. Things you might already know." Emma nodded, tears welling up. "We do, Dad." Jake looked at me, serious. "Are you gonna be okay?" I smiled weakly. "I will be. Because I have you too. And that's what matters." Emma hugged me tightly. "We love you, Dad." And for the first time in weeks, I felt a flicker of hope. The unexpected support. Not everyone sided with Lisa. A few old friends reached out, reminding me of my worth. One night, my best friend Tom called. "You're doing the right thing, Mike. Don't let anyone make you feel otherwise." His words were like a bomb. It was the first time I felt like I could breathe again. Facing Lisa one last time. We agreed to meet at a therapist's office for mediation, not to save the marriage, but to figure out how to co-parent without tearing each other apart. Sitting across from Lisa, I realized how far we drifted. She looked tired, worn. "I wish things had been different," I said. "Me too," she whispered. But wishing wasn't enough anymore. Moving on. Divorce was finalized a few months later. I moved into a small apartment close to the kids' school. Some days were harder than others. But every morning, I reminded myself, I deserve honesty. I deserve respect. And most importantly, I deserve peace. Closing thoughts. This journey broke me. But it also taught me to value myself. To trust my instincts. And to never settle for less than I deserve. Moving out wasn't just about changing my address. It felt like losing a part of myself. The life I thought I'd built was unraveling fast. The first morning in my new apartment, I woke up to the cold light streaming through the window. The silence was deafening. No sounds of Lisa moving around, no clatter of breakfast plates, no kids calling out. I sat on the edge of the bed and ran my hands over my face. The reality was hitting me. I was a divorced man, and everything was different. I forced myself up, made a black coffee, and looked around the small space I'd carved out for myself. It was bare and cold, but it was mine. I reminded myself that this was a fresh start, a chance to rebuild. The kids' visit. The first time Emma and Jake came over was awkward. I watched them hesitate at the door, unsure if this was really their new home. Jake immediately went to the mini fridge I'd stocked with their favorite snacks. Emma lingered near the couch, eyeing the blank walls. We sat down together, trying to fill the silence with conversation. It felt forced, like we were all pretending this wasn't as painful as it was. "Dad," Emma said quietly, "it's weird not having Mom here." "Yeah," Jake added, "I miss the old house." I nodded. "Me too. But sometimes, change is necessary. We're going to be okay, I promise." The calls from Lisa. Lisa and I still talked, but the conversations were strained. Sometimes it was about the kids, sometimes about logistics. But under it all was a simmering resentment neither of us wanted to admit. One night, her voice cracked on the phone. "Mike, I'm sorry. I never wanted to hurt you. I swallowed my pain. I know. But sorry doesn't fix years of lies." "I know," she whispered. "I just want us to be able to get along, for the kids' sake." "That's what I want too," I said, softening. "We owe them that much." Unexpected reflections. Some nights, I found myself replaying our life, the good and the bad, like a movie I couldn't turn off. I remembered our first date in high school, how she laughed when I tripped over my words. The late-night talks in college, dreaming about our future. How we'd promised each other forever. And how forever had turned into something I didn't recognize. Facing the past. Then came the hardest moment, when Lisa's roommate, the one who'd hinted at the truth, sent me a message. She wanted to talk, to clear the air. We met at a park, the cold winter wind biting at our faces. "I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner," she said. "We didn't want to hurt you." I shook my head. "It's not about hurting me. It's about trust. That's what was broken." She looked away, ashamed. "It's not easy, what you're going through," she added quietly. "No, it's not," I admitted. A new beginning. Slowly, I started to rebuild myself. I picked up old hobbies, reconnected with friends I'd lost touch with, and spent more time with the kids. One evening, as I tucked Emma into bed, she smiled and said, "Dad, I'm proud of you." That moment hit me harder than any betrayal ever could. Because despite everything, I was still standing. And that was something worth fighting for. The first family gathering, awkward but necessary. A few months after the divorce was finalized, we had the first big family gathering since everything changed. My parents invited us all to a holiday dinner, hoping to keep some sense of normalcy for Emma and Jake. Lisa and I arrived separately, exchanging a stiff nod in the foyer. The air was thick with tension, and I could feel every eye in the room watching us like we were actors in a bad play. "Hey, Mike," my dad said warmly, pulling me aside. "You're doing good. We're proud of you." I gave him a weak smile, grateful for his support. Lisa sat quietly across the table, avoiding my gaze. The kids tried their best to keep the peace, but I caught Emma sneaking glances at her mom with sadness in her eyes. At one point, Lisa whispered to me, "I'm sorry for everything." I nodded slowly. "For the kids, we'll find a way to make this work." Learning to co-parent. Co-parenting wasn't easy. We had to establish boundaries, communicate clearly, and keep the kids' well-being at the forefront. One afternoon, Lisa called, her voice uncertain. "Mike, Jake has a soccer game next weekend. Will you be there?" "I wouldn't miss it," I replied. That day at the field, watching Jake score a goal and run over to high-five me, I realized that despite everything, some things remained strong. The ghost of betrayal. Even with progress, some days the past haunted me like a ghost I couldn't shake. One evening, I caught myself scrolling through old photos of us, smiling, happy, so unaware of what was to come. I wondered if Lisa ever regretted it, if the men she slept with crossed her mind the way I couldn't stop thinking about them. The anger still lingered, but I was learning to hold it without letting it consume me. Unexpected friendship. Surprisingly, I found comfort in talking to a counselor, someone who helped me navigate the tangled emotions. During one session, I admitted, "I feel lost. Like the ground beneath me has cracked and I'm falling." My therapist smiled gently. "That's okay. Healing is messy. But you're not alone." Those words gave me strength to keep moving forward, even when I wanted to give up. A new chapter. As spring arrived, the air felt lighter. I started dating again, slowly opening my heart. I was honest from the start, about my past, my pain, and what I hoped for the future. It wasn't easy, but it felt right. One night, after a simple dinner with a woman named Sarah, I realized I was smiling without pain for the first time in a long time. Reflection. Looking back, I'm proud of how far I've come. The betrayal shattered my world, but it didn't define me. I learned to forgive, not just Lisa, but myself. And above all, I discovered that even after the darkest storms, the sun can rise again. The unexpected confrontation. One late afternoon, I was at the grocery store when my phone buzzed. It was Lisa. "Mike, can we talk?" "It's important," she wrote. I hesitated but agreed to meet at a quiet cafe nearby. When I arrived, Lisa was already there, staring at her coffee like it was the only thing keeping her steady. She looked up, eyes tired. "I've been thinking a lot about us." I braced myself. "I know I hurt you more than I realized. Not just with what I did, but with how I handled everything afterward." I sighed, trying to keep my voice calm. "You mean when you told me it was normal and I was overreacting?" She nodded. "Yeah. I was selfish, Mike. I thought I could justify it, but I was wrong." For the first time, I saw real remorse, not excuses. "The hardest question." "I still don't understand how you could do it," I said quietly. "Especially with so many guys, some of whom I met and trusted." Lisa looked away. I was scared. Lost. I didn't think we'd last, and I made terrible choices. "You should have told me," I whispered. "I know," she said. "And I'm sorry." The apology hung between us like a fragile thread. A small step. We talked for hours, sometimes uncomfortable, sometimes raw, but always honest. By the end, we agreed to focus on healing, for ourselves, and for the kids. We wouldn't pretend the past didn't happen, but we could decide how to move forward. The kids' graduation. The summer after the divorce, Emma graduated high school. Lisa and I sat side by side, clapping as she walked across the stage. It felt surreal, us together again, not as a couple, but as parents united in pride. Afterwards, Emma hugged us both, tears in her eyes. "Thank you for being here," she said softly. I squeezed her hand, feeling hope bloom. Finding peace. Months passed. The anger faded into quiet acceptance. I focused on being the best father I could be. Lisa and I developed a respectful friendship, based on honesty and shared love for our kids. I found peace not in forgetting the betrayal, but in learning to live beyond it. Looking forward. One evening, watching the sunset from my balcony, I thought about the journey, the pain, the heartbreak, and the slow rebirth. Life had changed forever. But so had I. And I was ready to face whatever came next, stronger than before.